2. So today we're going to talk about fears and getting over our imposter syndrome. Now I spoke about that before in another video, trying to be something we're not. And as an author, it really is difficult because you are a writer who are introverts, but you've become an author who are just introverts pretending to be extroverts. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you don't know who I am Sylvia Hubbard, and I am an author of over 50 romance suspense stories, and I am founder of Motown Writers Network, where we help writers get to their literary goals and we connect readers to Michigan authors. Usually I try to get, made up or something, but today I kind of wanted to be raw. I guess, since we are talking about fears and getting over our fears, so we can get book selling success. And plus I didn't want to do the work. I'm just being honest. So fears as a writer for me, and I'm going to be talking about myself. I'm not talking about anybody else. And if you want to, admit some fears in the comments below, you can. And you can also subscribe while you're scrolling down and hit that notification button while you're at it. That would be so much fun for me. You probably receive some kind of gratification because you're following me. So, go ahead. So I got this idea after listening to Sandy Gholston's video about, everything that encompasses like writing and everything, and it was a great video, and you have to go follow him, and I'll tag him down below. I got this idea because I've never really talked about fears, and I don't think writers really like to talk about our fears because then it makes it more realer, which is not a word, I know. But when he was talking about, just everything that comes with it, it's just a lot of things that creeped up in me. Like, I've never really told anyone a lot of them all in a row. So I have 6 of them. I thought about it. I was like, I have 6 fears, 6 like prevalent fears that often come up. And even after writing 50 stories, you still have these kind of things that still stick with you and say, hey, this is still there. Number 1 fear is no one will like me, or no one will like my story. And I think that's why you have to go with write stories that you want to read, because whether someone likes you or not, you're gonna enjoy that story you're writing. When I do write and I come up with a story, I want to put something in there I've never read before, but also that I'm going to really enjoy it. So that's how I get over that fear. So number 2, writing the same thing. So when I say writing the same thing as a fiction writer, with so many subjects or so many ways to fall in love, you kind of get into a rut of like, ooh, I like the twin stories, or I like the polyamorous stories, or I like the secret baby stories, and you get scared that you're going to be writing the same thing over and over and over again. And then an offset of that is that your love scenes will start to sound the same, or the intimacy will start to blend in. You won't know, one character from another character, and you get worried about that a lot. Well, I do, as I'm going into that. And then revamping like old stories that, are already out there, and it's like nothing new under the sun, and you start really believing that. So when I am writing from one polyamorous story to another polyamorous story, I take it as the characters. I go into the characters, and this is how I make sure that the love scenes are not coming together, because this is a different type of love. They are attracted to each other in a different kind of way, and they are different kind of people. People love different kind of ways to other people. I mean, you can't really expect, the same kind of love or loving a person the same way as you love like your ex, or something like that. Everyone has different types of love. So, and that's what I based a lot of my stories on, is that this is a different type of love every time I go into a love story. Now, revamping old stories where you have the Cinderella complex, or the fairy tale, or the regular happily ever after, you just gotta kind of put yourself in there. You gotta kind of put Silhouette in there. You gotta bring it into how you write, and really know your voice, in order to make sure you are not hashing out just the same stuff, and you want to give the reader something different. So, and that's what I try to do every time I bring a story to life, and hopefully that I am not writing the same thing. So number three is not growing as an author. And I base this on, because I am a lazy kind of writer, but every story that I do, I want to try to grow as an author. I don't want to be in the same place years to come doing the same kind of thing. I want to get out of my comfort zone, and I do try to do it as much as possible. So I try to grow as an author as much as possible. Learning, listening to videos, listening to audio, reading books. Just try to grow as an author in the reading, publishing, and the marketing phase, not just one part, but all three. So number 4, running out of ideas. And I know that sounds kind of crazy for me, because I have so many books up in my head, but I get scared that I won't be able to bring it, and the story will just be flavorless. And I know this goes back into 2, writing the same thing, but you just kind of run out of ideas in terms of, oh my God, what if I get into a story and then I don't know where to go with it? That's horrible. You get scared, and that really can grip you so much that you just don't want to write it anymore. But sometimes you just have to press on and do it, and then see what comes out, and then hopefully the second draft will be a much better story. So I just try to finish it, and whether I like it or not, I finished it, and I can always go back and put some salt and pepper on it and make it taste better. So number 5, giving into the laziness. So like I mentioned before, I am lazy. I think our family has a spirit of procrastination. We have a spirit of procrastination in our family. So we are late, we are lazy, we just will stop doing something. So I have to literally talk myself or parent myself out of that, and I do that all the time. But I get scared that one day I won't be able to get out of bed. I don't want to get out of bed. One day I just probably don't want to write anymore. Even though I want to write, I just don't want to put the time and energy in it. So I get scared, and I think that's pretty much what makes me write more, is because I want to hurry up and get it out of my head before I get to that point in my life. But I did go through it. I've gone through that stages a couple of times in my life. I think once I got out of high school and I let life get in the way, I came back to trying to write again, and it scared me because I didn't know how to, and trying to get that muse going again. And that just made me, once I started, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna stop. And then I got into parenting and running Motown Writers Network, to the point of, well, yeah, I can write when I want to, I know how to do it. And then when I tried, it was like, oh my God, I'm so lazy. And then once I started doing it again, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. And then like we had a whole bunch of personal problems, and that's when we got homeless and everything, and it was so just difficult. It was so hard, and I just didn't want to do it. And even though the creativity or the spark was there, it was like, I don't feel like it. And that was a 2 year. That was a 2 year drop. And once I got back into it, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna stop. So now I got all the kids out the way. You know, all I have to do is focus on my husband, and even then he encourages me to write. So I'm trying not to give in to my laziness again, even though I can feel it creeping up on me. But sometimes I think it's more or less it's laziness mixed with depression, where like you're just like, oh, and everything's going on. You know, you try not to let the weight of the world get to you, and you try to keep writing. So do it. My suggestion for that is to just do it even when you don't feel like doing it, because once you continue to do it, it continues to get better and better and easier and easier. Okay, so number six, forgetting how to write. So that goes a little bit into the laziness, but then coming back, I always have this fear that one day I'm going to just forget and never be able to do it. I'm going to lose my muse. And I don't know if anybody else has that fear, but I'm just going to be like flat out honest with you. You get to that point where you're like, oh my God, what if I just run out of gas? And I don't know if you call it dying, but that's what it would feel like to me, as if I died. And I hope I never get to that point. And I hope I can continue to feed the muse, keep her happy so that she never goes. Then I also think about physical problems too, because I have like a lot of follicular problems, especially when it has to do with like hair on my body. So like I get balls, and sometimes I can't even move my right arm. And I've learned to become ambidextrous. Yeah, but I think I'm saying it right. I'm probably saying it wrong, but I've learned to use both of my hands. And even to write, it's so weird because I want to make sure that I can do it because of my physical conditions. So yeah, that's like as a side fear of like 5 and 6 of that, is that you're hoping that physically never goes away, because that would be horrible to have stories just stuck up in my head and I can't get them out. Although I could just say them, you know, out loud into my phone like that, but it's not the same as when I'm typing it and I'm feeling that braingasm come, and you're like, I like this. So those are my 6 fears. And I get asked a lot, well, how did you overcome the imposter syndrome to be who you are? Because a lot of people say, oh my God, Sophia, you're so extroverted, you're not introverted at all. I am introverted, I am a writer, but like I said, I am an author, which is an introvert pretending to be an extrovert. And it's not like I'm being fake or anything, but I know I have to get out and I have to sell books. I know I have to get up in front of the camera. And I kind of like, you know, tell my Sasha fears, you gotta just do it. You just gotta do it and keep it going, because you want people to understand you and know you and see why they should, you know, read your books. You should read them because I like to write them. So I know you'll love to read them. So... And even saying that, I feel shy, like telling you that. But that's what happens as a writer. And my writer brain, it's like, oh my God, I gotta talk about my writing. But then my author brain is like, talk about it. You gotta say something. You gotta get out there. But you're going back and forth, and you feel like kind of like a Jekyll and a Hyde thing. I don't know. It could be just me. It probably is just me. But if you feel that way, I would love to know, like what do you do to get over your fears? And if you do have fears, what are they? What are other fears that come to you? And I know mine's kind of sounds silly, but you know, to me, they aren't. And I think about them all the time, even when I'm going into, you know, my next novel or my next writing or session or something like that. It's like, well, what if they don't like this? But then I think back like, okay, I like it, so whatever. And I always go back to the first book I wrote, I completed, and I let my mom read. And I was so scared about letting her read this book because it had a love scene in it. And it was kind of about serial killers. And my mom was really into church and everything. So I was kind of scared to let her read it. But she had always been my encourager of writing, you know, me writing. So she read it, and I was so scared. And when I called her up and I was like, well, what did you think? And she was like, that was so awesome. It was so good. And just hearing her, knowing that she enjoyed my work was just amazing. And I just kind of go back to that point of, you know what, if my mom likes it, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And I know that sounds crazy, but even when I get bad reviews, I'd be like, well, I know my mom would have liked it, so whatever. So that's how I kind of get over it. So I would like to know, what do you do to get over your fears? Make sure you comment down below, and just, you know, what are they? What are your fears? I would love to hear from you, and I want to thank you guys for listening, checking me out. Make sure you subscribe, notify, and share this with other writers. That would be so cool, and I would appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys. See you next time.